and then array name equal to new, again data type and bracket, and here we need to specify the size. So let us say 5 is my size. So I can store 5 values into array. So this is called as a declaration. This is called as a declaration. So once you declare this, how we can insert the values into array? So if you want to insert values into array, we can refer the every location with the index number. So when I say 5, what is the starting index is 0, the ending index is 4. So if I want to store some values, let's say a of 0, I'll put some number called 100. So now the first position is occupied with 100. Similarly, I can say in the first position, second position is 200. And similarly, I'm filled with values, all the locations. So a of 2, I'll make it as 300. A of 3, I can say 400. A of 4, I can say 500. So if you observe here, I have just stored 5 different values into 5 different locations. So every location is identified by index number. So this is how we need to insert a values. Inserting values into array. So you cannot store more than 5 elements because this is called as a fixed array. Fixed array means here, based upon the size, you can store only those elements. But you can also store less number of elements. Suppose you define 5, but you don't have 5 elements. I have only 3 elements, so I can just store only 3 values. Later, you can add few more values. But this array is allowed to you store only 5 elements or only 5 values of same data type. Okay, so this is a way of declaring an array and inserting values into array. So in this particular approach, we cannot store dynamic values, like we cannot store values more than 5. So this is fixed array. This is your fixed array. But now, suppose if you don't know the size of an array, suppose this time, at the first time, I need only 5 elements, but later my values are increased. So in that case, my array should be able to handle a number of values, more number of values. But if I say size is fixed here, it cannot hold multiple more than 5 elements. But how we can handle this one? So there is another approach we have to declare and insert a values, and that is called as a dynamic array. So this is called as a static array. Static means size is fixed. Size is fixed and we can store only those many number of elements. We cannot store more than those elements. So the other approach is a dynamic array. Means we can store any number of elements. We don't need to specify any size. So if you know the size of an array, just go for this approach. Okay. If you don't know the size of an array, then go for this approach. This is another approach we have. So integer array name equal to, don't specify any new int or size, directly add one curly brace like this and put all the values whatever you want to store. Let's say 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. You can add any number of values like this. So based upon the number of values, internally the memory will be allocated. Okay, suppose here I have stored 5 values. Internally, A contains 5 locations. When I say 10 values here, internally it will allocate 10 locations. So this is again dynamic. Based upon your number of values, the memory will be allocated to this particular array. Okay, so this is called as dynamic array. So here declaration and also initialization. All the values were directly initialized. With single statement, we have done this. Okay, so we can just go for the first approach or the second approach. If you know the size of an array or it is fixed, then go for the first approach. If you don't know the size of an array, if it is a dynamic, then go for the second approach. Okay, so here we declared array without specifying size. So this is called as dynamic array. This is called as dynamic array. Okay, so this is how the first point, declare an array, inserting values into array. So first 2 points we covered. So declaring array, we have 2 different ways. One is a fixed array and the other one is a dynamic array. Okay, now the third point is how to find size of an array. So here I have stored few numbers, right? We have stored some values. How we will know how many values we have stored? So we have a small method is available called length. So for example, A is my array variable dot length, A dot length. So length is a a static variable we have in Java. So this will give you exactly how many values we have stored inside this array. So this will return some value. So we have to print that value. So input that into system.out.println of a.length. So this will give you a size of an array. Size of an array means how many elements we have stored inside the array. So this is called length function. So length. Let me execute this till here. Okay, so now it is saying 5. So totally 5 elements we can store because already 5 elements we have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements we have. Suppose let me just remove the last 2. Okay, now it will give you 3. So this is how we need to find out size of an array. So this is very important to read the values from array. Suppose if you want to read all the values, first of all we need to know how many values have stored. Accordingly, we can write a simple for loop and then we read the data from the array one by one. Okay, so this is how we need to find the size of an array. So length is a keyword which is available to find length of an array. So the next one is how to read the values from array. Suppose I want to read a single value. I want to read a specific value from this array. Then we have to specify that by using index number. So let us say I want to retrieve 300. So what is an index of 300 is, this is 0, 1 and 2. So the index of 300 is 2. So I can just say a of 2. So this will give you the value is 200. So let's print this value. So I'll just printing system.out.println of a of 2. So if you want to extract a specific value, you can extract by using index number. So this will give you the value which is present in second location. So now you can see in the second position we have a 300. Second position in the sense as per the index. Okay, so index is start from 0. So 0, 1 and 2. In the second index position we have a 300. So this is how we can extract a specific value from array. So this statement extracts a specific value from array. Okay, now so I want to read all the values from an array. I want to read all the values from array. So here we can have two approaches. One is by using classic for loop, we can read all the values from array, or we can use enhanced for loop. That is a new for loop which is especially designed for derived data types or data structures. So I'll show you both approaches, how we can read the values from array. So we have seen how to read or how to extract a single value by specifying the index number. Now I'm going to show you how we can extract multiple values. So let us write starting one for loop. So first approach is using classic for loop. Classic for loop means we have to specify the initialization, condition and incrementation. All three things should be part of one statement. So let me start reading all these values by using classic for loop. So let's start for and initial condition we have to specify. So the logic behind this is we have to write a specific logic here. So this is my array. All right. So the name of array is A, which contains some locations. Let's say 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is 0 position, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And here some values we have. Let's say 100, 200, 400 or 300, 500 and 600. Some values we have. So I need to read each and every value one after another from this array. So what I can do is by using index number, I can access this value, right? So I can extract this value by using index number. So what I want to do is I will write one for loop and where I'll start index from 0. So I'll just make it I value 0. Every time, as soon as I value is 0, I will extract this value. And after extracting this value, I'll increment I value by 1. And then it will become 1. Then again extract this value. Similarly, every time I'll increment this I value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like this. And when how to stop, as soon as I value becomes 5, we don't have any element. So here I'll stop. Okay, so the condition will be, the initialization will be I is equal to 0 because we need to start from 0. And when the condition will become false, whenever I value become 5, then condition should be false, and every time I will increment I value by 1. So I is nothing but it is representing the index of array. Okay, so this is the same logic I'm going to use it here. So initially index value is 0 and I less than or is equal to, let's say I have 5 elements, right? So I have 5 elements. So 5 elements in the sense I can specify 5, but we should not use any equal to here. Okay, because the last index is 5 minus 1. So 5 minus 1 means 4, right? So as soon as I become 5, this condition become false because I become 5. So I less than 5, condition false, right? So there are two ways we can specify here. Either if you use only less than, specify 5 directly, or if you want to say only 4, then use equal to also, less than or equal to also. So because 4 also we have to consider 5, whenever I value become 5, the condition become false. Okay, so this is the condition we have to carefully put here. And the one more important thing here is, suppose if you don't know the size of an array, okay, if you don't know the size of array, how many elements you have in array, then dynamically we can just get the length of an array, okay, and put it here. So a dot length. So a dot length will give you how many elements we have, right? So accordingly, this I will be repeated. So this is the condition, and then I plus. Every time we will increment I value by 1. Okay. So now, so a dot length will give you 5, right? So a dot length will give you 5. So here we have to use only less than, not equal to. Or if you still put less than equal to, here make minus 1. So why we should do like this? Because the ending it is always n minus 1. Suppose a dot length is written some value called n. So here we need to put n minus 1. Okay, but the last ending index will be n minus 1. So that's the reason I say length minus 1. Or if you don't want to decrease this value, just say only less than and use a dot length. Okay, this is just a logical thing. Okay, so think about it. So a dot length means 5. So 5 I don't want to don't have any value inside the 5th location. Only 4th is the last location. So use only less than. So as soon as I become 5, this condition become false. There's a one way of doing it. Or I want to put less than or is equal to. In that case, you need to do minus 1. So a dot length minus 1 will give you 4. So I less than or is equal to 4. So that means 4 is also matches. But whenever I value become 5, it will be condition will be false. Okay. So this is how we need to write a condition here. Now, what I can do here is I need to extract each and every value from array. So how we can extract? So we have seen how to extract a single value by adding index number, right? The same statement again we have to write it here, but this time we have to pass this index number dynamically. So whatever index number here we specified I, right? Instead of hard coding this value, I'll just pass I value here. So now what happens? It will just go and extract the first value. So first I value 0, the condition is true. So it will substitute I value here. So A of I, so that means A of 0. So what is the value we will get it here? 100. And again it will go up and increment the I value. Now I value becomes 2. So I value become 1. So again condition is true. So in the first position we have a 200. So here this time it will print 200 because I value become 1. And then again I value incremented by 1. So this time it will become 2. Again condition is true. So A of 2 means 300 will extract. And I plus plus, this time it becomes 400, it becomes 3. So condition is again 3, condition is again true. So A of 3, we have 400. And at the end, I value become 4. So again condition is true. So A of 4 means 500 is printed. So again it will increment and becomes 5. So then condition become false. As soon as I value become 5, the condition is false. And then it will exit from the for loop. So this is how we need to write a simple classic for loop to extract all the values from this array. So if you don't know the size of an array, you can just simply put a dot length minus 1. This will give you actual size of an array. It will read all the values from an array. Okay, so let me execute this code and see. I think one more bracket is missing. Okay, let's execute this code and see how this is reads the values. So let me comment this one, run as Java application. Okay, so now we can see, so there are 5 elements we have, so totally 5 elements are displayed, 100, 200, 300, 400 and 500. Okay, so this is how we need to read the data or read the values from array by using classic for loop. Now I'm going to show you one more approach to read the values from single dimension array. So that is using for each loop. For each loop. So this is very, very useful, and we don't need to specify any starting value, condition, incrementation. We don't require all these things. It's very, very simple. So let me just write a small piece of code here, and then I'll go through that. So for integer I colon a. Okay, this is having different syntax. Okay, I'll tell you. I'll explain what is this syntax. System.out.println. Just print the value of I. That's it. See, now this is very, very simpler than this one. So in the classic for loop, we have to say index, starting value, condition, incrementation, and everything. So here we need index value. But in the for each loop, we don't require any index value. So this is also called as enhanced for loop. Okay, so here we don't require any index system, so we can read all the values. So how this will execute is, so first of all, a I mentioned. So a means it contains multiple values. A contains a multiple values. So what are those values? 100, 200, 300, 400 and 500. So these are the values we have in this A. So first how this will execute is, the first value will pick up and will be stored in this I. So here colon works as a assignment operator. Okay, here colon is works as an assignment operator. So here first value it will pick up from the A and store that into I. So what is the current value of I? 100. So I'm just directly printing I value here. So it is prints 100 here. After that it will again go up. This time it will capture the second value. So first value already captured earlier. Now it will capture the second value. So now the 200 will be stored in I. So again, I printed I value here as a 200. Now again, it will go up. Next time it will extract the next value. So 300. So 300 will be assigned to the I. Now here I printed 300. Again, it will go up. It will capture the next value 400. Will be assigned to the I. Now I printed. So 400. And similarly, next time 500 is there. So 500 will be assigned to the I. Now here printed 500. Again it will go up and check is there any more values are there. So there are no more values. So 500 is the last. So then the for loop will be executed. Okay, so this is automatic process. Here we don't require any incrementation. So by default this loop will take care of incrementation. It will go and fetch each and every value till the last element. Okay, till end of this particular array it will reaches till end of this array, and if you don't find any element, and then it will exit from this array. Okay, this is how this loop will work. Now when I execute this, it will also give you the same output. Okay, so this is very simpler than classic for loop. In the going forward, whenever I'm working with arrays or any data structures, most of the times I'll try to choose only enhanced for loop. Okay, this is very, very simple, simpler than this one. All right, so this is how we need to read the data from single dimensional array. So far what we have seen, how to declare an array, how to insert values into array, how to find size of an array, and how to read values from an array using classic for loop and also enhanced for loop. Okay, suppose for now I'm just commenting this notation. I'm enabling this first approach. This is also right? So because this is a fixed array, we can store 5 elements, but still everything is same. So it will also give the same numbers. So you can just go for this approach. If you know the size of array, then you can go for this approach. If you don't know the size of array, then you can go for this. If you have a dynamic elements, you don't know how many elements are going to store in future, then go to the second approach. Okay, so this is all about single dimensional array. So we'll discuss more examples because This is very important topic, and you will get a lot of questions on interview, especially practical questions. Okay. So next one, so we'll see two-dimensional array. So I will also explain what are the operations we can do in two-dimensional array, and then we'll proceed with some examples. So before going further, are you guys clear so far? So how to use single dimensional array, how to declare, how to insert values, how to find size of an array, then how to read the values from an array. Okay, so these operations we need to perform normally, but we can do a lot of things. Okay, not only these are very basic operations. We can do a lot of things with arrays. All right. So everyone, please confirm on the chat window. So are you guys clear? Single dimensional array. Okay. So Vani says okay. So others, can you please confirm on the chat window, everyone? All right. So now let us move on to next one. That is two-dimensional.